CJ Stroud led the Houston Texans to a come from behind win against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And during this performance, he broke the single game passing yard record for a rookie quarterback. He had 5 touchdowns and he threw for 407 yards. And, you know, when you think about this performance, right, I'm not going to say that I saw this coming because I didn't. Now, I've known that CJ Stroud is a really good quarterback. Hell, I already consider him to be a top 10 quarterback. But there's no way I expected him to carve up a defense led by a defensive-minded coach in Todd Bowles. And let me ask you guys something. Todd Bowles, at this point, do you think it would be wrong for the Buccaneers just to go ahead and give him the pink slip? Because Josh McDaniels got the pink slip after they lost Monday night to the Detroit Lions. What makes this loss any difference from this one? Look, the Buccaneers, they were 3-1 at one point, right? They've lost 4 straight since that hard start. And getting shredded by a rookie quarterback when you're a defensive-minded coach in this kind of fashion where a guy like CJ Stroud is making history against you, I think is a fireable offense. And I know what people are going to say in defense of Todd Bowles. They're going to say, oh, CJ Stroud is a great quarterback, JT. You can't give him too much criticism. What do you mean I can't? He's a defensive-minded coach. A rookie quarterback, regardless how good they may be, should not be shredding your defense for 400-plus yards and 5 freaking touchdowns. That is inexcusable. There's no reason why CJ Stroud should have been able to drive Houston, give them the game-winning touchdown with less than a minute on the clock. Todd Bowles is one of the worst head coaches in NFL history. Straight up. This Buccaneers team is not that bad. They exceeded expectations up to this point, and now they're starting to crash back down to earth. And every time you listen to a Todd Bowles post-game press conference, it's the same thing. We can't beat ourselves. Like, it can't be Bucs versus Bucs. Like, I'm tired of hearing the same old post-game speech from Todd Bowles. I'm just tired of seeing him in Tampa. Tampa barely made it to the postseason last year with the greatest quarterback of all time, and they brought him back. Dave Canales was a really good hire, but at this point, I feel it would be better if you fire Todd Bowles and make Dave Canales the interim head coach for the rest of the season, because the defense looked abysmal against a Houston Texans team that doesn't have a great offensive line. They don't have a great run game. They don't have great wide receivers. They're not really a super talented team. They're well coached, led by a really good quarterback in CJ Stroud. That's understandable. But to allow CJ Stroud to make history against your defense, 5 touchdowns, 407 yards passing, completing 71% of your passes, and you're a defensive-minded coach, that's embarrassing. Let's not forget, when CJ Stroud played against the Carolina Panthers, that probably was his worst game of the season. If you're a defensive-minded coach, you should not be allowing a rookie quarterback to put up these kinds of numbers against you. CJ Stroud is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. I would take CJ Stroud over a handful of quarterbacks. Hell, I would take him over Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield. I would take him over any quarterback right now starting for any team in the NFC South. That's how good he is. He's a top 10 quarterback. He's an elite quarterback. It doesn't take long to figure out how good a guy is. If a guy comes out looking like a top 10 quarterback, they're a top 10 quarterback. There's no threshold that you have to wait to claim that somebody is an elite quarterback. Either you see it and you just go ahead and call them an elite quarterback, or you just play the waiting game. Like, CJ Stroud is a great quarterback, but just because he's a fantastic rookie quarterback doesn't mean it should be used as an excuse for Todd Bowles keeping his job and allowing this shit to happen. Todd Bowles is not a good coach. They've lost 4 straight now. And they probably are going to continue to lose. When you're a poorly coached team, you get poor results. And this is a game that I feel is a fireable offense. There's no way you can call yourself a defensive-minded coach and allow CJ Stroud to look like he was Tom Brady against your defense. Literally, nothing that Tampa did defensively worked, especially in the second half. CJ Stroud, it's like he had the X Factor ability in Madden where he could see any coverage that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers threw at him. He was hitting Noah Brown on big plays downfield. Tank Dell was cooking this defense. Todd Bowles should not still have a job right now. He's one of those coaches that is a good coordinator, but not head coach material. His best season was when he was with the New York Jets and they had Brandon Marshall and Ryan Fitzpatrick. I think that was what, 2015, 2016? The Buccaneers have to move on from Todd Bowles. Like, if the Detroit Lions beat the Raiders so bad that they decided to fire their GM and Josh McDaniels at 1 a.m. in the morning, what's the difference between this result and that result? Hell, Josh McDaniels should have got fired after they lost to Tyson Bagent, who was playing Division II football around this time last year. CJ Stroud is a rookie quarterback. He didn't even do this to the Steelers defense. And he had a good performance in that game, but he didn't make history. This is embarrassing. If you're Todd Bowles, I don't know how you can wake up, look at yourself in the mirror, and consider yourself a great defensive-minded coach when a rookie quarterback just destroys your defense this way. This is embarrassing. He should not still have a job. And I'm not somebody who likes to come on here and call for people's jobs, but when there's somebody who deserves to be fired, who needs to be fired, something has to be said. We all keep talking about CJ Stroud and how great he played against the Buccaneers, and I'm not taking anything away from him. I'm giving him all the credit in the world. But on the flip end of this, I also have to look at this from an angle of Todd Bowles being a defensive-minded coach and CJ Stroud pooping on this defense. Literally pooping on this defense. You would have thought that CJ Stroud was a 15-year veteran with the way he was carving up Todd Bowles' defense. This is inexcusable. And if you're a Buccaneers fan, are you really okay with this? Like, I don't get how Bucs fans aren't protesting outside of Tampa Bay headquarters right now, trying to get this dude out of there. He's awful. He doesn't make great adjustments. His defense hasn't been great this year, and you allow a rookie quarterback to set records against you. Records. And I'm going to say this one last time. I'm not saying this to take anything away from CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud deserves every bit of recognition for this historical performance. Anytime you break a rookie passing yard record in a game, you deserve a lot of props for it, especially when you do it against a defensive-minded coach, or at least somebody who we think is a defensive-minded coach. But at the same time, we got to look at the other end of the spectrum. It's easy just to look at CJ Stroud carving up the Buccaneers defense and not look at this from the angle of Todd Bowles being a defensive-minded coach and allowing CJ Stroud to have this kind of performance. Like, this performance by CJ Stroud was so good that it should have gotten Todd Bowles fired right after the game. If Josh McDaniels is getting the pink slip after losing to Detroit on Monday Night Football, then so should Todd Bowles, especially when Baker Mayfield led this team downfield, put them in position to win this game, and the defense blew the game. They blew away the win. You're a defensive-minded coach. You should have every bit of confidence with your defense being on the field, being able to close out a game for you. Your defense should never be the reason why you lose a kind of game like this, and you definitely shouldn't have a defense that's giving up 5 touchdowns to a rookie quarterback. I can't recall the last time a rookie quarterback threw 5 touchdowns in a single game. This is embarrassing if you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, and it has to be god awful embarrassing to be Todd Bowles. I think Todd Bowles should be fired. And with the way CJ Stroud played, it's a fireable offense in my opinion.